Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a really powerful, incredibly concise manifesto all about personal agency. It's called Architect of Your Own Intentions. Now, this is a text that literally takes maybe 30 seconds to read, but man, it packs enough philosophical punch to force you to stop and ask, who is actually in control of your life?
So let's unpack that fundamental question. We're looking at a pretty stark contrast here, being the active architect of your life versus playing the role of a passive tenant. Think about an actual architect for a second. They drop the blueprints, they lay down the foundation, they decide exactly where those load-bearing walls go, right? They are totally deliberate. But a passive tenant, well, they just move into a structure that somebody else built. They're just living inside walls constructed by another mind. And our source text today really challenges us to figure out which role we're actually playing in our own heads. And that brings us to the core theme running through all of this material, the threat of passivity. We're going to start right at the bedrock, the absolute foundation of your internal architecture, which is your values. This is the internal compass that guides literally every major decision you make. Now, I want to pause for a second and just let the gravity of this exact quote from our source sink in. Quote, "If you don't choose your values, others will choose them for you." End quote. If you aren't proactively deciding what actually matters to you, well, that void is going to be filled by default. It's kind of chilling when you really process it, right? You see, the human mind is incredibly absorbent, and it absolutely does not tolerate a vacuum when it comes to a moral framework. If you don't actively plant the seeds of your own values, weeds are inevitably going to grow in their place. So the text warns us about these others who will choose for you. But who exactly are they? Well, they're society. They're the media, your peers, marketers, cultural norms, and yeah, algorithms. These others are always just waiting there, quietly and persistently, ready to assign their values to you. They are more than happy to tell you what success looks like, what you should care about, and what you need to strive for, if you don't have an answer of your own ready to go.
Which means you face a massive choice every single day. You can actively construct your own moral compass, doing the really hard work of an architect, deciding what is genuinely meaningful. Or you can passively just hop on the conveyor belt and accept the one that's handed to you. It's one or the other. You're either the active architect or you're the passive tenant living by the rules of the others. Because you can't just opt out of having values, you only opt out of choosing them yourself.
And that perfectly sets up the second layer of our internal framework, your beliefs. Think of these as the lenses through which you view your entire world.
You'll notice a really hypnotic, repetitive rhythm in the source text here. Quote, "If you don't choose your beliefs, others will choose them for you." That repetition, that's completely deliberate. It's hammering home the point that your worldview is just as vulnerable to external control as your values are. It's a rhythmic, structural warning. If you aren't rigorously questioning and building up your own belief system, you're basically just absorbing the belief system of whatever room you happen to be standing in. Ultimately, failing to critically examine what you believe is basically handing the steering wheel of your mind straight over to outside influences. Actively guarding your mind takes immense energy and reflection, no doubt about it. But the alternative is just taking the path of least resistance, blindly accepting assumptions and letting these others pour their version of reality straight into your head. When you just accept assigned beliefs, you're surrendering the very framework of how you perceive truth. Okay, so from the internal landscape of the mind, we're shifting gears to the external currency of our daily existence, your time. It is relentlessly visible, and it's just ticking away, second by second. And this next quote from the text represents the absolute ultimate loss of agency. Quote, "If you don't choose how to use your time, others will choose it for you." Time is totally finite, right? And someone else is always super eager to spend yours if you aren't intentionally directing it yourself. Just think about how incredibly true that is. If you wake up without a plan for your day, does the day just sit there waiting for you? No way. Your inbox dictates your morning, random emergencies dictate your afternoon, and the endless scroll of a social media timeline completely dictates your evening. The others are perfectly willing to consume your most precious resource. So, leaving your schedule blank, that doesn't give you freedom at all. It just gives the others an open invitation. Intentional ownership is what makes you the architect of your hours. A forfeited existence, on the other hand, just leaves you scrambling, constantly reacting to outside demands, notification bells, and the priorities of the rest of the world. It is literally the ultimate manifestation of being a passive tenant. Real quick, before we move on to the solution, let's review these three pillars of passivity: unchosen values, assigned beliefs, forfeited time. The source text is basically warning us that these are constantly at risk of being hijacked. And if you lose control of these three pillars, what is even left of you? The argument here is that without control over these three specific areas, your life is essentially just a product of external circumstances rather than your own internal intention. So how in the world do we fight back? Well, thankfully, the text hands us the tools to take back control. Let's look at what we'll call the blueprint of becoming. In the context of our explainer today, we really need to redefine the word consumption. The text forces us to look at consumption not just as kicking back for some mere entertainment or passing the time, but as the literal raw material of your future self. It is the intentional choice of what you watch or read. Think of it like this. Every single article, every video, every book is a literal brick being laid in the architecture of your mind. Your media diet is your ultimate defense against having your identity stolen. The text says, quote, "When you choose what to watch or read, you are choosing your future thoughts and perspectives." I want you to really think about that. You aren't just casually absorbing information, you are literally preloading the software of your future mind. You're handing yourself the vocabulary, the concepts, and the framing that are going to completely dictate your future values and beliefs. And this creates a very linear, totally unavoidable chain reaction. Step 1, the media you consume. That leads directly into step 2, synthesizing that media into your own unique thoughts and perspectives, which then culminates in step 3, constructing who you actually are, becoming. The media you consume constructs who you are. It's that simple. If you want to change step 3, you absolutely must ruthlessly curate step 1. So the grand climax of our source material is this undeniable, powerful directive, quote, "Only consume what you'd like to become." You have to treat your attention as the most sacred architect of your identity. Because guys, this is exactly how you reclaim your values, your beliefs, and your time. You don't go out and fight the others directly. You simply refuse to consume their blueprints. You carefully, deliberately choose the inputs that align with the exact person you actually want to be. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to carry with you the next time you open up a book or unlock your screen. Look right at the content in front of you and ask yourself honestly, based on what I am choosing to consume right now, what am I becoming today? Are you the architect of your own intentions, or are you just letting someone else draw the plans? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Stay focused, stay intentional, and keep learning.